So when it comes to this lady, I feel two-minded. When I first found her yesterday, I was kind of open-minded to hearing what she had to say, and I didn't agree with most of it. But when I was sort of analysing the last video, the first part of this video, I found myself seeing more and more similarities, but also not agreeing with a lot of things. I saw a lot of similarities between her beliefs and AJ Miller's beliefs. I think she looks like Danny Minogue, and her name Anne as well. I don't know, I'm not really in favour of spiritualists, but I do kind of think that this woman can have a role. You know, she seems very positive. It looks like she has sort of the best intentions, and I think parts of her story do sound kind of believable. Like, she doesn't sound crazy, and she seems very positive and very certain of herself. I don't really think that what she's believing and preaching is the truth, but it's interesting how convincing she is at telling her story. I believe there's truth and lies in every religion. Now, just because there's truth in it, that doesn't mean that I'm saying that there's truth in it. I'm saying that there's truth as in maybe there's things that they need to preach to help reduce the population. As for me, I'm not saying that the spiritual world does not exist, but what I am saying is that if I did preach about the spiritual world, you know, a lot of people would want to go and join the spiritual world because they would see it as being a better place than the life that they're living on earth. Now, if I start preaching that, probably too many people are going to leave. But if someone like her preaches it, it's not going to do as much damage because there's no real proof to back up what she believes.
Our source energy comes through us, and then it becomes what we walk into is we've created from our own energy. And that makes us unique, and that makes us much more like source. So that is why the angels are so mesmerized by us, because we have this divine spark. We have the ability to create our reality completely. And they don't have that. They can create, but they are moving through the reality as it stands. And humanity shares a co-created construct that we've all created in order to experience ourselves. And then we're moving within the boundaries and the rules of that co-created construct. And there are angels here that help us, that respect our free will, that help to keep us on a pathway that is in alignment with what we decided for our highest and best for this journey.
It's funny that on one hand she's like, we could, and he's just jumbling up her words, and she doesn't know what she's talking about. The angels are like, but they can't do it, but we can. And it's amazing how on one hand she sounds so certain and convinced about what she's saying is the truth. On the other hand, it sounds like she doesn't have a clue what she's talking about. On one hand it sounds nice, but then you're just like, well, what the fuck are the angels? I think her religion seems nicer than mine because there seems to be more positive vibes to it, but yeah, at the end of the day, you're just like, what the fuck is she talking about? To me, it kind of sounds like she thinks humans are God and humans have created this reality, not God. So she herself is saying that humans are basically God.
You're saying that humans have a co-created construct with angels. Do they also have this construct with ETs? And
Oh,
and
so
and do the angels ever channel information about ETs?
yeah, for the longest time, they never said anything about ETs. Like, I've been channeling them for several years, many years now. I lose track of time. And they all of a sudden, out of the blue, at the beginning of this year, in January of this year, they came through with a couple messages specifically about ETs. And they said, it's so interesting. They've told us a lot about it. They basically said that humanity, that our genetic structure, that we are like a seed garden for the universe, that we have belonging all throughout the universe, because so many different races have participated in what we are, that in how we have evolved. So literally, it's like all these different races have planted a seed within us.
This woman is not talking to anyone. It's impossible. I'm creating some sort of timeline. If she's talking to lots of spirits from different planets, you know, why are they not telling her about me, about their God? Okay, she did say that she has come across some sort of mother god spirit, but she didn't say any details about me. I don't believe that I'm allowing any other spirit to come into this planet to talk to the people on Earth. You know, I don't know what she's talking about, but she sounds so convincing. And it's bizarre how people can just sit in front of someone and just lie. You know, that's kind of what she's doing, but I feel like there's a reason why she's doing it, because it's about setting up the idea for this sort of rapture event where you can become, you know, a different person on a different galaxy, or, you know, you can go and be with a different god or go and live in a different timeline. And I think she's kind of setting the sort of early stages for this religion and this belief, but I don't know what she's talking about when it comes to these voices in her head. You know, I think there is a voice like that is God, but yeah, is God saying to these people that she's a bunch of different people from different planets? I don't know, but I know there's quite a lot of people that believe this, and I think they're just very imaginative. I came across this woman or this video just a few minutes ago, and I feel it's really important to just show this.
How do you define what a starseed is?
I explain it like I'm an alien consciousness that was born in a human body. So when people talk about past lives, usually they have past lives that were on Earth. The majority of my past lives were in space on other planets.
Have you ever seen them?
Yeah.
Were you hypnotized, or how did you witness them?
I did meditations and I've seen them in dreams.
Arcturian is a certain race of alien beings.
Yeah. They're my family.
I think I've seen that there's Pleiadians and there's a few more. Do you know the other names?
There's a ton. I'm in contact right now. My guides are Pleiadians. They're the main starseeds that are on this planet right now. They have a karmic debt that they're repaying to Earth. So there's actually a ton of Pleiadian starseeds on Earth right now. I also work with the Andromedans, who are more technology based. They assist us with technology and our innovations on this planet. And I also have communication with the lion beings, who are like basically like lions that are actually like people. And yeah, there's a ton though. There's Syrians, Lyrians, there's Zeta Reticuli, there's praying mantis beings. There's a ton.
Do you think that they're all here for good, or do you think any of them, well, I guess should be saying aliens, not starseeds, but do you think any of the aliens here are for nefarious reasons?
Yes, and it's my belief that that's the reason why Earth is so confused and off track and like has so much harm. I think that humanity has been sort of a slave race to alien entities, but that all ended in 2012, and now we're learning how to drive our own bus, so to speak.
You know, I really think it's incredible how capable people are at lying. You know, this woman is obviously lying. She's not talking to all these different things in her head. I don't know where she's getting this from. I feel like there's a reason for it, but it's crazy. And yet she's doing it with so much ease. It's like she just doesn't care if it's the truth or not. I feel like she's so suicidal and so wanting to die that she just wants to believe in anything to tell herself that there is somewhere better, another world, another place, and it's quite sad, I find. This was something the interviewer asked her at the beginning of the conversation, and I think it sums up why she started believing what she wanted.
Spiritually, that was a catalyst for you to create this.
I was totally depressed, and I tried to kill myself. I was very close to dying. I do consider it a near-death experience, though my experience was different than most people's. And I was just sitting in darkness and nothingness. I thought that was ultimate death. I thought that was what I was really longing for when I tried to kill myself. And I was miraculously found and saved and resuscitated. And from that point, I sort of had, it was like rock bottom in a way. And I had to reassess what I was doing with my life. And I had to decide, what am I going to spend my life doing if I'm so miserable? I have to just do whatever I want to do. And from that place, I started getting in touch with spirituality. And then from that place, I decided to start Unicult.
Lies. Yeah, you started telling lies at this point. But I think the plan should be you expose AJ as being the real Jesus. You promote his idea of spirituality, and then you start bringing these other people forward to sort of back up their claims, to back up the belief that the spiritual world is a real place that people's souls live. People aren't really going to believe in AJ, but if he's backed up by other spiritualists who also say similar things, the spiritualist movement will become stronger, Christianity will fade, but not die. It won't die. Christianity is very, very important because it talks about God and Christ, and I'm God and Christ, and it also talks about the sacrifice. And I feel like I don't really need to go through a fake sacrifice, but I feel like the fake sacrifice is a good way of determining, the good ones from the bad ones. God is supposed to judge people at the end of the age, and I prefer to judge people by letting people judge me and saying, actually, how you feel about me is probably a reflection on what you actually think of yourself. If you really, really hate me, it's probably a sign that you deserve to die. If you're happy to hurt me for your own sake, then it probably means that you need to die, because if you're happy to hurt me, you'll be happy to hurt others too, and that's going to cause problems in the world. If you say the only way you can get into these other worlds is by using me as a sacrifice, well, that way anyone that agrees to that and is okay with, hurting me, I would consider that to be a reason not to put them back into the human body. So I feel like the test is important, because otherwise the Matrix might not be able to tell the difference between a human soul or animal soul. A soul that would want to hurt me when I haven't actually done anything to hurt them is a soul that should actually go back into being an animal. So I do see the importance of a test. But I also see the importance of spirituality and the belief that these, spiritual realms exist. I don't want to promote the spiritual realm. Why? Because I want to show myself as being smart and intelligent, and I want to encourage people like me to stay on Earth. And I want the people that just live in delusions and in illness and in lies and in deception, I want them to leave. Hence, the people that promote these kind of religions, they need to promote this other realm or this other place, because that's how you're going to get rid of the difference between the good and the bad, or the smart and the stupid, and the intelligent and useful versus the useless who just want to believe in rubbish. We also need things like builders to stay to clean up like all the ugly buildings and get rid of them. But yeah, builders don't tend to be spiritualists, so yeah, spiritualism isn't going to really harm them. But I do want to add that I don't believe that this girl means harm on others. I think she's just very, very depressed and has created some sort of fictional world in her head. And, people like this are useful because this is how they create good films with good ideas and stuff. I don't know who inspired the Inside Out film, but that is basically like spiritualism, where all these different characters kind of are like different spirits that are guiding the person that they're influencing. So if that person was a spiritualist, only turned her imagination into some kind of film, it's become a talent. I think she's just turned to this because she feels that gives her hope and that makes her happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, if you're still believing this kind of stuff when God is on earth and trying to show all the evidence that kind of backs up the fact that she's God, well, if you're still living in delusions after I've been exposed to the world as being the real Christ and God, then I feel like that's a sign that you just don't want me, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not able to help you, basically.
And the way the angels described it, it's funny. They were talking about how it's like there's all these different forces that are vying for expression inside of us, because we're carrying all of this information, all this genetic information. But what it does is it makes us belong all over the universe. We belong everywhere. And that makes us very, very unique, that there aren't other races that belong everywhere, but we do. We're like the children of everyone. And so humanity has this unique part of ourselves, that is the fact that we can be part of every different place in the universe. As far as I understand it, they said that up until now we've been protected, but that there will come a time when ETs will come and show themselves to us, and the goal for us is to become galactic citizens. We're not meant to stay isolated here, that we're meant to take a place out in with everybody else that's out there. And the thing that they're waiting for us to achieve is that we have to achieve peace, that we can't be fighting amongst ourselves.
To turn this into a false rapture believing religion, all you need to do is say that you've been in contact with spirits of the MW, and that there's lots of different galaxies and planets just like Earth and Earth's sun around the MW, and they're all looking for vacancies for people to go and join in this system. All you need to do is find Christ, let her open up the gate. I guess you can say it can be done forcibly or unwillingly. But like this woman says, you first need to create some sort of peace. By that, you mean create some sort of unity and admit that this one person is Christ. And if you can admit that this one person is Christ, then the gates will open up and you can get into your heaven or your paradise, whatever it is. You just need to shoot yourself. See, it's the makings of the rapture, and she doesn't even realize it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all false teachings, because I'm doing a timeline. Things that I'm doing is literally like, I'm talking to songs through time and space, and I don't believe that I would be doing all this just to set you free and to go somewhere else. I'm fighting for this planet because I obviously want to stay on this planet. If you don't like me, then you can leave, but I'm obviously not leaving myself, because this is my place, and I don't know why I'm still here. It doesn't make any sense. I should have killed myself a long time ago.
And that sounds like an impossible task, except we are now going through our shift, which will bring us world peace. And they've told us exactly how that's going to happen. And I know it sounds impossible, because we think, how in the world can people change that much? That there might be certain parts of the world or certain people in the world that'd be like, yeah, that person can be peaceful, but what about that? Like, what about the craziness and the war? How can we possibly overcome that? And the only thing that's going to make a difference is if people change. We have to change at a fundamental level. And so that is why we're going through this shift. And there will be the thing that's changing us is the light that's coming to the planet, and it's increasing. And the angels, one of their favorite topics is there is a great flash of light, an enormous flash of light that's coming. And that, they say, it is the moment that we will point to, that is the moment that changes everything. That in once we're past it, we will look back on that moment and say, that is the moment that everything changed.
Well, here she's obviously talking about the moment that I am exposed as Christ, which I believe is going to happen on July the 1st next year. Although I understand it shouldn't be done too forcefully, so I feel like it should be done in stages, and I guess August the 14th will be the second step, where you reveal that I was Eve, the first person alive, and then the sacrifice should start September 23rd, which I guess is the point where you start talking about getting into the spiritual realm, because I'm obviously not going to be enough for most people. But I think me being exposed as being the real Christ, and perhaps God, when you don't have to say that part, I will be saying that part, and you can make it look like I'm just crazy. But yeah, this will be the moment that really changes everything, because Christianity will die, spiritualism will rise, but as soon as spiritualism rises, a lot of people are going to start wanting to take their lives to get into this other realm.
And it is a solar light of some sort. So it comes from some sort of a sun or a star, and it's going to hit the planet. And when it does, they said it will hit everybody and everything. You will not miss it. People worry about that. What if I'm not ready? What if you can't, even if you were down in a, deep mine in the earth, they said it will penetrate the earth. You could be down in your basement. You're not going to miss it. It will hit everyone. And the only thing that would make someone not receptive to this light is, again, they have to respect free will. That if someone is clinging desperately to the way things were, if someone is really, really wishing that things would not change, and they're clinging on to our old reality, and that comes from fear. It comes from the fear of losing their 401k or their pension, or fear of losing their family, or fear of losing anything, fear of losing their old way of life, a fear of the unfamiliar. That is what closes our energy, because we're like, no, I want that. I want what used to be. And so we turn away from the light.
What you mean by that is people who love their life, people who love their car, love their family, love their house, their possessions, their clothes. These people are going to cling to their life and their old way of life, and they'll cling to everything they have on earth, and they're going to want to stay on earth, and they're not going to follow the light. Hence, they're not going to seek the spiritual realm and die.
Right. All we have to do is be willing, is be open to things changing, is be open to the idea that the new can be, and it will be incredible. But so this big flash of light comes, and what it does is it opens us up to our natural state of telepathic communion with one another. It's like, you talk about empathy on steroids. It is that. It is a deep connection of hyper empathy between people, where we feel each other's feelings. And so imagine what that will be like as people try to go to war with one another, when they feel the other person's pain. And they said that it will change everything. So that is a huge piece of what changes us. And then the other thing is, there are going to be some incredibly dramatic earth events that are gradually going to tear down the structures of our world that are keeping us the way we are. So there's so much of the way that the world is right now that we can't change, because we are living within this shared construct, and the strings are being pulled in ways that we have no control over. There are these very, very entrenched systems that we can't get past. And so those have to be torn down.
I think by that you really just mean there's too many inverted people. You can try and tell people the truth, and there'll always be people saying, oh no, it's not. And it's like with religion as well. You get rid of one religion and they'll just create a new religion. You get rid of that religion and they'll create a new false religion, and you'll get rid of that one and they'll create another false religion. And the thing is, every religion you create is another false religion, but everyone will have their own views and be like, no, I'm right and you're wrong, and then it will just actually create more problems. So you create a solution to get rid of the problems, but you actually create more problems, because you're just creating another religion religion to fight and argue over you. You can't get rid of the problems when so many people are set in their ways and won't change. And I think overpopulation is actually the biggest problem, because you cannot all unite when there's so many people against it. And I think the thing that's stopping people from changing is the fact that the spirit knows that there are too many people here, so is deliberately encouraging people to seek lies and cause problems, so that people will be more attentive to wanting to do what the spirit wants, which is to reduce the population.
So that is all of these different events that are coming. They tear down those events. Then we have the flash of light, and we've been getting hit with light all this time. As a matter of fact, they came through and told us, they're like, watch out, there's going to be these lights coming right before this massive the recent crazy week we had with all the aurora borealis. They gave us a message the day before, the Friday before, telling us there's going to be this huge uptick in energies coming now through November. So we're going to be experiencing more of these heightened energies. And so this has been happening, but the coup de grace, the big one, is the flash of light that they're talking about that's coming. And they've given me, like I said, the sequences of things, not specific dates, because they don't have time. So it's very hard for them to be accurate with, it's going to happen on Tuesday. It's like, no, but they tell me this will happen, then this will happen, then this will happen. So to get back to your question about ETs, as soon as we achieve, basically at the end of all this process, at the end of our shift, at the end of the earth events, at the end of where our consciousness has raised enough that we can feel each other's feelings, that we achieve world peace, then the aliens come. I shouldn't call them aliens. I should call them planet beings from off planet are going to come. And they, at that point, will help us. They'll help us to eventually move off planet, which is the goal, for us to join and become galactic citizens.
Are you saying that this flash of light is like a solar flare? And if so, do you think it's going to be coming from our sun?
It could be, it's going to be bigger than anything we've experienced in our human history, because they said it will be felt around the world. It will be unmistakable. So there's a lot of people like, was that the flash of light? No, it will be unmistakable. It is definitely not a nuclear thing. There's some people that get confused and think I'm talking about a nuclear bomb. No, it's not that. It is definitely solar, but it could be, like people have talked about, could it be Betelgeuse, right? That Betelgeuse is supposed to supernova. I think it's something like that. It's something like a big supernova, huge wave of energy. So when they first started coming through in like July of 2020 is when I first started channeling the angels, and in this way, and they just came through. Almost every message was about the earth changes and major events. And then in January 1, 2021, they shifted and started talking about our relationship with the angels and other topics. But during that period, they gave us all these details about what was coming. And since then, about 30% of those things have come true, and very specific things. So it was fascinating to me to see how it all evolved. And they some of the stuff are like breadcrumbs, where I think it's like, we don't quite understand the full impact of things. And as they unfold, they seem like little things, but they turn out to be big things. And there was random things they said, like they said that truck drivers would abandon their routes. And I thought, what a random thing to say. Why would truck drivers? And I was speculating at the time. I'm like, well, maybe it's because of COVID and there's riots in the world, and maybe they won't drive because of riots. No, it wasn't that at all. It was a bunch of different reasons. Like in the UK, because of Brexit, there was 100,000 truck drivers that didn't show up for work, and then we had the truck drivers.
It's amazing how you can just talk and talk and talk about your communications with angels that I don't think actually exist, because angels to me are just singers and celebrities, and I'm God, and well, I'm the one who kind of made up angels in the Bible, and yeah, I'm seeing them, but they're singers and celebrities. They're not, I don't know, people that talk to the average person. But yeah, you're just talking on and on and on, and you say about how amazing and how specific and how detailed they were, and then you just bring up one example. Truck drivers will leave their routes, and then you kind of looked at a case in England where they were stranded for a day. They weren't leaving their routes. I mean, maybe one or two lost a job or wanted to get a new job, but a lot of people do this. They start making prophecies, and then they start looking through pages and pages and pages of prophecies to try and, come across, oh, look, my prophecy came true. There's lots of Christians that do this same thing. They come up with prophecies, and then they just find random things that mildly suggest that their prophecy came true, and then they use that as evidence that God is talking to them. God's not talking to them in this same way. Angels are not talking to you. You're just getting some things right, maybe.
It's the power structures are this web of things. It's complicated how those structures stay in place, but all of it has to be taken down. So yeah, so major collapse. And I know that's scary, but it is part of what is needed so that we can be free. And freedom, you talk about, I mentioned the mother of creation, her whole thing is create and release, create and release. It is freedom. Everything has to be free. And where we don't have freedom, things are not in their right natural order. And so we have to evolve. We have to tear things down and burn things down in order to create the opportunity for freedom. So we have economic collapse. We have political collapse, that the United States, they said very specifically that the United States will no longer be united, that they're going to break apart into smaller groups of states. And what that looks like, I'm not entirely sure, but they also said, and my hunch, this is not, like I said, they don't give me dates, but given what they said, I would not be surprised if that started happening this fall with the election.
So I don't believe you're talking to angels, but I do think you're making prophecies, and I do think that some of the things are true and some of the things are not. I think they're creating a one world society where all the nations unite together in different ways. You'll definitely have the separate states and places, but I feel like there's going to be some common unity because I'm Christ, I'm God, and there's going to be some kind of sacrifice. I think this is also part of the sacrifice, you know, if the whole world unanimously unites and says that I am Christ, you know, except for the Muslim world. I don't know what will happen to that. That is completely up to the rulers of the Muslim world, but yeah, if all the Christian worlds sort of unite, I feel like it's going to be more, you know, everyone coming against me. But because you all have something in common, which is turning against me, you'll have something that unites all of you, rather than United States separating and becoming more divided. I think there'll be more unity, but I think this unity is going to be on whether or not they believe that I'm Christ, or if they're going to support AJ, or if they're not going to support either.
Is that because they did say that there would be a leader who dies. And I think that it would be a situation where it could be that we have a candidate who looks like it's going to be elected, and that candidate then dies, and it creates riots.
I don't know if this is going to happen, but I know there is going to be a time where AJ Miller's life is going to be in danger, so if he wants to fake his death, that might be a good idea, because he'll be safer if he did. And he'd also encourage people to get into the spiritual realm.
And it cares about the country. And they said it would not be a civil war, that there would be riots and, you know, a few things like that, skirmishes, you might call it, but it would be a peaceful separation, and that eventually people would voluntarily move to one place or another based on where they wanted to be.
Well, it sounds like a global reset is coming.
Huge.
Are there going to be any structures that are going to survive?
Yes. Well, so yes. And they said there will still be, and there's pieces to this. So this is the stuff that happens first, the the political reset, and then economic reset. And I believe but the structures that survive are going to be the ones that are in alignment with the new energy. The old energy is one of separation. It's the one of gathering resources and into smaller and smaller and smaller hands. And the new energies are ones about distributing energy and resources. So those...
Let me just correct you there. The old energy is worshipping lies and deceptions, which ends up just causing more and more division. So if you imagine Christianity just breaking up into more and more sections and more divisions, because people were disagreeing with different aspects of the religion and saying, well, I don't think Jesus is like this, or I don't think Jesus is like this, or I don't think God is like this, or I don't think God is like this. And then, you know, spirituality is actually seems to be in line with the rapture belief. So therefore it is a part of Christianity, only it just misses out Christ and God. So, you know, all these different religions are just different small fractions, and yeah, this is all going to break away. Everyone who's worshipping lies is going to follow after the lies, and the people that are following after the truth and trying to stay as realistic as possible and trying to love things like music and going out partying and flowers and gardens and nice houses and spas and saunas and shopping malls and theme parks and stuff, you know, people that chase after real life things are going to be the ones that stay on earth. Oh, and films. There is a ton of films that are great to watch, and yeah, people who want to watch films, you can't watch films if you try seeking to go to another planet. You know, make the most of all the films that have been made here and enjoy them.
Even you can even have a corporation, but if that corporation is about serving the greater good, if their reason for being and their way of operating is about trying to uplift everyone, to uplift all boats in a rising tide, those are the companies that can survive. I think that is in the far future. I think that's after the aliens get here. Then, excuse me, I need to get a new word other than aliens. What do you, how do you refer to non-planet, off-planet beings?
I would call that God.
I mean, I usually say aliens or ETs.
ETs, yeah, ETs, I guess. ETs is probably better. And but in any case, that we will get to a place where travel looks different. They said that the shipping industry would be catastrophic for everyone. So at some point, there's going to be a period of there, like it's almost like all the lights go out for a little while. All of technology shuts down. They call it 3 days, but I don't know if it's actually 3 days. 3 days of darkness.
I believe the telling of the 3 days of darkness is actually in relating to June the 13th, 14th and 15th. Why? Because in 2013 these were 3 days where I was just having lots and lots of visions that I was Christ, that I was linking to a lot of things, that songs were all pointing to me, that there was some sort of ghost following me around, that I was having visions of the future and the future like getting destroyed if I didn't do something. I also saw how my name was connecting to everything. I don't know what it was. I would call it 3 days of madness, to be honest, but I felt like that was significant, and I feel like a similar thing needs to happen, only this time you tell people that Christ has returned, Christ is on earth. You're going to reveal this person to the public on July the 1st. But yeah, I would say that one is 3 days of darkness, because everyone who knows about me should make a post about it, should perhaps talk about how Christ is here. I don't know who in the media or news people know, but they could all do something. I don't really know what you're going to say, but you know, if thousands of people were all saying this, then you know there's got to be some truth behind it. Maybe the media could even film people on the streets about the possibility that Christ is actually here on earth, you know, find out if people believe, or you know, if they think that Christ is going to return. But at the same time, you're not revealing everything, hence the world is in darkness over what's going to happen. And then after the 3 days, many people can even take off their post and just do what I did in 2013, which was like, nope, this isn't the truth, take it off, pretend that it didn't happen, act normal. So I don't think you're going to reveal that she's a female, don't reveal anything. Just say that Christ is on earth, that it's not AJ Miller, that you might even get him to do the announcement if he is quite famous and recognized.
So it needs to be restarted. So we get this 3 days of darkness, everything goes dark. And during that time, we learn to connect to one another telepathically. We remember that we're connected to one another, and we don't need phones anymore. We can connect telepathically. But then eventually technology comes back on, and we don't forget everything that we know. We get technology again, but it's reborn at the new heightened state of consciousness.
Is there any other way to prepare for this shift?
Gosh, yeah. The biggest thing that we can do, honestly, everything is energy. And I know the first thing people want to do is to start preparing physically. Like we think, oh my gosh, I need to, stockpile this or that. And that is much less important. Like, yes, the angels have said consistently, they've said, have a way to clean your water, that you want to be able to get pure, clean water. That is important, because there's going to be a lot of flooding there's a big event, an earth rift, they call it, that will affect everyone on earth. And like I said, the angels don't know timing. When is this going to happen? I can't give you. I think personally, like my guess, this is me, this is not channeled. I think that we see the flash and the earth rift in 2026. That's my guess, which is awesome, right? Like, yes, please, let's get there now. Let's pull that Band-Aid off quick and get there as fast as we can. And the goal is, because as we do this flash of light comes, we are open, we're receptive, we're ready to move into this new state of being, and we help humanity, all of us. We can show anybody else who has been resistant, who has not been ready up until this point, who has not been on a spiritual path. You become like a beacon to help others, to show them how to do it.
Well, if we don't have karma anymore, will there still be a point of being here after the shift?
Yes, I love that question. Yes, yes, yes. So the new earth, what our goal will be in the new earth will be to experience ourselves. Remember I said how we are the divine spark? It will be to understand ourselves as manifestors.
Yeah, right now I think this woman is very confused.